Orcust is easily one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's right, I said it. Some people just can't face the music on how powerful this deck is. And in this video, I'm gonna be showing you how powerful Orcust is in a deck profile. The main goal of a competitive tier Orcust deck profile should always be playing as least bricks as possible, because we already know we can maximize efficiency with one card combos to make disruption boards, and B, be able to use all of our extra deck space consistently. So without further ado, let's jump on in. So the cool thing I like about actually separating deck profiles and the combo tutorials is that I can actually go in depth while I play certain cards. So again, if you guys want to see the combo tutorial, then check out that link right there. It is a full 15-minute explanation on so many cool combos and a 3-card combo that has up to 7 disruptions. Really awesome video. But getting into the Mech Knight, the Orcust deck profile, got Mech Knight on my mind because you know what's going in round 2. So 3 copies of Mech Knight Orcust Girsu, or Girsu the Mech Knight Orcust for the TCG, 3 copies of Orcust Nightmare, 2 copies of Orcust Simple Skeleton, 1 Brass Bombard, 2 copies of World Legacy World 1. This is pretty much the standard Orcust lineup, but to break it down a little further, your play starters are going to be your Mech Girsu and also your Orcust Nightmare. Having either or in the hand is amazing. Orcust Nightmare or your Mech Girsu being the 1-card full combo pretty much, and Orcust Nightmare needing a little bit of help through the effects of your Jet Synchron but still being combo. These other cards are still really important, especially now Brass Bombard being able to be spell summon through Halco Fabrics, or just being able to extend your current plays. It's pretty important, but that's it for the Orcust monsters. We do complement it with a Gizmek Orochi, free Dark Machine monster, finishing up 3 copies of Scrap Recycler and 1 copy of Scrap Golem. The reason why Scrap Recycler is just so good, you have to watch that combo video if you have not. This card is not only 1-card full combo with Orcust, so you can make, of course, the IP Masquerena, but you get to make Live IP Masquerena, as well as having the Orchestrated Babel in Dingirsu in the graveyard, which means that you can disrupt and potentially even go into an Apolloso on your opponent's turn depending on the situation. So of course the Scrap Recycler engine is just really important, and the Scrap Golem is the brick you gotta play. Now I do run Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion. Some builds have opted away from O-Lion because in theory Jet Synchron is a lot better. You can discard a card from your hand almost any given time in this deck, but sometimes you don't want to discard a card from your hand. So in that situation, Scrap Recycler can send O-Lion, and it is a self-contained combo without requiring you to discard a card. Now for the players that do play Jet Synchron, I'm not gonna knock you because I play 2 copies of Jet Synchron. This card is its 7th and 8th starter card. If you open Jet Synchron with Orcust Nightmare, again, I do have it in the combo tutorial, it is still full combo, and it's pretty amazing on how this deck has evolved, post the Harp Horror ban. Moving on, we do play quite a bit of hand traps. I play 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 copies of GD Crone. I strongly suggest that your hand trap ratio should change depending on the certain situation that you're in. Let's say, for example, you're playing against a lot of back row heavy meta type decks, then obviously Nibiru and DD Crow wouldn't necessarily be the best fit. Cards like Cosmic Cyclone or Twin Twisters would be excellent cards, but obviously not monster reliant cards. I strongly feel that these are probably some of the best hand traps in the game at the current second. Who would have thought I'd say hand traps and best in the same sentence over this time? 3 copies of Allure Darkness. This card is completely phenomenal. Banishing your Orcust monsters has never been so free because of your cards like Galtea and of course your World Legacy World 1 to bring it back. 2 copies of World Legacy Success. I figured very early in when I was building this deck that being able to have World Legacy Succession in one of your play starters is probably one of the better things you can do to this particular strategy, especially saying if you have World Legacy Succession and Scrap Recycler, you have full combo. If you have World Legacy Succession, Scrap Recycler, and Mech Girsu, or any other combination of cards, you have 7 disruptions, which is really hard for your opponent to get over since the disruptions are always changing. 2 copies of Called by the Grave because the deck is susceptible to hand traps. 2 copies of Orchestrated Return, getting your important Orcust monsters to the graveyard. I made the mistake of playing 3, strongly advise against it. And then of course 1 copy of Babel, 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 copy of Foolish Burial, 1 Crescendo, and 1 World Legacy Sorrow. Now, if there ever was a card that I was actually really iffy about in this particular deck, it has to be the World Legacy Sorrow, because while this card is good. The problem is it is a brick inside of this deck, and pretty much no other card in this strategy is a brick except for hand traps, because of course they don't further your combo. World Legacy Sorrow is an extension card. I figured if I did open World Legacy Succession, then setting World Legacy Succession with Lib is a little useless, because you obviously can only use one World Legacy Succession per turn. So that's when I started the playtest with Sorrow, and then that's when I started to realize you can make a co-linked board fairly easy with this deck. And if you do wind up making that co-linked board, your opponent might be in trouble, because you do get that additional Spell or Trap negate. So this is the one brick. Some other cards that I would advise on playing is maybe Infinite Impermanence. Though that card's really good if you want to mess with the hand trap lineup in the World Legacy Sorrow. And then from World Legacy standpoint, I couldn't think of another World Legacy Spell or Trap card that I could necessarily like vibe with that Lib could set. But you could just be happy with one or two World Legacy Successions if you guys decide not to run the combo. But that's pretty much it for the main board, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys can see, there is a lack of certain cards like Buster Dragon and Instant Fusion. I'll be able to explain those a little later after I go through the extra deck. For the extra deck, one copy of Spool Sword Dragon, one copy of Apollousa, one copy of Topologic Zero Boros. For the people that can't afford Apollousa, it is okay, ladies and gentlemen. There's actually some cards that I really wanted to put in here. Unfortunately, weren't able to. You can drop the Apollousa for cards like that. One copy of Longirsu, I'll be able to tell you in a second. One copy of Nightmare Unicorn, 3 copies of Galtea. So a lot of builds have strayed away from running Galtea at its maximum amount, and it's almost for good reason. You don't necessarily need it, because when you did run 3 Galtea, you would normally go right into the Galtea in turn 1 like you'd go through 2. But this particular deck actually goes through 2 Galteas in 1 turn. So sometimes you might be like, yeah, I might want to play 3 Galteas. This is a card that you guys can drop for the card that I dropped, which is a Nightmare Phoenix. I'll talk about it in a second. One copy of Crystron Hulk. One thing that I notice about this strategy is, while I could play cards like Brawl Sword, I could play cards like TG Wonder Magician, there you go, that's his name. I could play the Scythe Engine. One thing I really wanted to play on is having as least amount of bricks as possible. And looking at this entire deck, other than the hand traps, which almost feel mandatory, the only real brick is World Legacy Sorrow, and that's only if you draw a bad hand. Hulk would, the Artifact Engine would require me to play cards like Artifact Scythe and also play TG Wonder Magician, and I feel that the Orcust strategy is one of the very few strategies that can use every single card in its extra deck throughout a regular tournament. So wasting those resources on cards that may come through in a certain situation, is not a great idea. One copy of IP Masquerade, one copy of Lib. This is a card I actually wanted to play 2 of, but I have no space. One copy of Scrap Wyvern, one copy of Link Kribo, and 2 copies of Dingirsu the Evening Star. So there are a couple of questions that I am going to have to answer, and one of them was from my Discord. It was a really good question. Why don't I play the Buster Dragon lock? And I gave him like a list of things. I was like, so first of all, you have to dedicate an extra deck slot and a brick. You have to hope you go first. Hope your opponent isn't always, hope they're playing a deck that needs their extra deck to survive. Obviously, there are decks in the format like Dinos and Edlich that don't necessarily need their extra deck. You have to dedicate your combo to it and hope that they don't play removal. That was way too many instances just to get, oh, my opponent can't special summon from an extra deck when I can make 7 disruptions. This deck can literally make anywhere between 2 to 7 disruptions with 1 to 3 cards. Why do I care about them playing in their extra deck? They're not even going to be able to get monsters to their side of the field to be able to go their extra deck. So it was like, big brain, don't play bad cards like that. It's not only a brick, hypothetically you won't see it in your hand, but that card could have been, I don't know, a World Legacy Sorrow, which is actually a card that is an Omni negation when your opponent does have cards like Evenly Match. The Buster Dragon isn't going to stop cards like Lightning Storm and Evenly Match and stuff like that, which means you're going to make your deck more susceptible to it. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Instant Fusion, El Shadal Winda. Now, that combo is amazing, but this deck is so tight for extra deck space. Like, you could drop a Dingirsu, you could drop a Galtea, but now your grind game starts to dwindle. You won't be able to summon that second Dingirsu. You won't be able to summon that Galtea for the later turns. Brawl Sword is amazing, but you can't always getting a Boral Sword. It is a mandatory card because, again, Boral Sword plus Dingirsu is game. But at the same time, you don't want to play cards that only work in certain situations and over cards that will work in all of the situations. Quistron Hacklefibrix is probably one of the most awkward cards inside of the entire extra deck, but it allows you to go full combo. So it's like you have to play it because it gets you into your combos. Other than that, I decided not to play El Shadal Winda and all that other stuff like Union Carrier and stuff because, again, not only was I pressed for space, I didn't want to draw more bricks than I would have to or play more bricks than I would have to, and extra deck space is extremely tight on this deck. Of course, everybody is going to have their opinion, and I'm not here to knock yours. I think your reasoning, while it may or may not be flawed, is your reasoning, and you are soundly just to play it. But this is the reason why I feel Orcust is one of the best decks of the format. If you play it streamlined, if you play it simple, if you play it to make those disruptions, then you got it. Oh, one more thing I want to talk about is that I don't play Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher. So you could play Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher in this deck, but you'd have to drop hand traps. I feel like I should be talking to you guys as I'm doing this. This actually would have been a lot better if I were talking to you guys, but I'll do that for the next video. I feel like if you play too many starters in your deck, you're gonna open up with a clog of starters. So granted, Mech Orcust Girsu, however his name wants to be, is not technically a starter card. So you can technically get away with saying you only run 3 starters, but the problem is you really do run 6 starters. If you open Mech and Girsu with Scrap Recycler, there you need to have that extra card to be able to go full combo and use both cards, encompass both of them to the strategy, which meant that I pretty much played 6 normal summons. You don't want to open a board where you're like Mech Girsu, Scrap Recycler, and Dark Grepher, and like a reinforcement of the army. Like that is probably like the worst hand ever because all of those cards do the exact same. I decided not to play those cards, not because they weren't bad. They're actually really good cards, but the problem was opening too many starter cards and, you know, having, oh yeah, this is great 1-card combo and have disruptions in your board, but then the rest of your hand is just all 1-card combos and whatnot, and don't necessarily add to your game. But thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TCGPLAYER Effect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to see maybe a face cam as well, go ahead and let me know down below in the comments. I do have 2 cameras to make all this happen. And also, we've been working with the lighting, messing with it a bit. This actually feels a little dark tone, but if I remove these sheets, it's gonna get really, really bright. If I remove these covers, it's gonna get really, really bright. And I don't like that overexposed look. I've been working with lighting, and I'm pretty sure none of you guys know. For all you think, you probably thought I got a new camera. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Stay safe and have a great day like I am.